Cuban Pete. I'm the craze of my native street. When I start to dance, everything goes chick, chicky, boom, chick, chicky. The senoritas, they sing and how they swing with this rumbero. It's very nice, so full of spice. And when they're dancing, they bring a happy ring, a very carol, singing a song all the day long. So if you like the beat, take a lesson from Cuban Pete, and I'll teach you to chick, chicky, boom, chick, chicky, boom, chick, chicky, boom. See, señorita, I know that you will like the cheeky boom chick. Plus it's the dance of Latin romance, and Cuban Pete doesn't teach you in a hurry like Castle Mary. I come from Havana, and there's always mañana. So, señorita, oh no.
They call me Sally Sweet. I'm the queen of Delancey Street. When I start to dance, everything goes chick, chicky, boom, chick, chicky, boom.
Ay, 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 ay.
Excuse me, Mr. Pete.
Yes, ma'am.
Have the Cubans a different beat? If they have, will you teach me to chick, chick, chicky, boom, chick, chicky, boom?
Si, señorita, I know that you will like the cheeky boom chick.
Yeah, man.
It's very nice, so full of spice. I place my hand on your hip, and if you will just give me your hand, then we shall try, just you and I.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pop Culture Dumpster. I'm Liam McEneaney, and today we're going to be looking at some stuff that is best forgotten by the times of the history of pop culture, and some stuff that should be rescued from the garbage heap that is public domain, and I don't know. Anyway, I didn't script out the intro, so instead I'm going to introduce my guest panelists. First of all, from the Bladt cast and from Who Are These Broadcasters on the WATP network. Please give a large round of applause to Christian Bladt. Oop, there you are. I'm sorry, I meant to unmute you.
It was a great round of applause where I disappeared, but that's all right. Great to be here, Liam.
Before you tell me how great this show is, just like to also
you don't have to worry about that.
Burbank's own Eric Connor, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. He introduced me. Okay, this is fantastic, Liam. You introduced Christian, then you kicked him out. You introduced me and you muted me. I love this. This is how you treat guests in 2025.
Well, let's just say this is our first episode. I haven't hosted one of these on StreamYard in about 2.5 months. So it's going to be a learning process all over again. Today, we're going to be looking at a movie that the three of us went to see in Burbank at the AMC 16. Little plug there for a small company I like to call the American Movie Classics. We saw it at the small theater, right?
We did. We went to the mall. It was the AMC 8.
The AMC 8, because there were 8 seats in our theater, and they still managed to get our seating arrangements wrong.
Yeah, they saw the seats that didn't exist.
By the way, it stands for American Multi-Cinema. AMC, the cable channel, used to stand for American Movie Classics, but they got away from the classics and just went with AMC. So there's 2 different AMCs. We were at an American Multi-Cinemas. They're the ones with Nicole Kidman.
Spoken like a man who invested when their stock was 5 cents each and took it to the moon.
Actually, Eric is a stockholder of American Multi-Cinema.
According to them, yeah. So I get a free icy 1 month, a free bag of their special popcorn. It's a little hard to tell, but it was about yay big here. It was about as big as my Spider-Man figure. And so I feel like I'm treated like royalty when I go to AMC.
You're treated like a man who made $150,000 on junk stocks during the pandemic. I actually did pretty well. I bought in Hertz when it was 15 cents a share. And I was like, that can't be right. Hertz can't be 15 cents a share. And then it went up because they managed to get investors. But that's not what we're here to talk about. That's actually for my show, Stock Market Dumpster, which is going on right after this one. By the way, if you're a pop culture dumpster fan, and there are a few of you out there, we just watched the premiere of Even Cowgirls Get the Blues, the Gus Van Sant all-star adaptation of the Tom Robbins film. And after this, at midnight, we're going to be watching, and I'll be watching it too, Major League 3, Back to the Minors.
Is that the one with Scott Bakula?
That's the one with Scott Bakula, Corbin Burnson, and I just want to say a young Walton Goggins.
Some would say that's the only good one, but they would be wrong.
That's when they found their footing.
They would be on Cracula. There's actually been talk of rebooting the franchise and starting at Major League 3 and pretending Back to the Minors didn't happen. I hate when people do that. If you made a bad sequel, guess what? You're stuck with a bad sequel.
Well, then don't look at the Halloween franchise, which have undone pretty much every sequel that ever happens. Once, even in the middle of the movie, they disavowed the first half of the movie and just said, just pay attention to the next 30 minutes.
I'm a big fan of David Gordon Green. I think George Washington is a perfect indie movie. I'm a big fan of White Zombie and Rob Zombie. I think that his first two movies in the Captain Spaulding series are perfect horror films. I cannot make it through a modern Halloween film. I can't make it through anything past Halloween 3, which I think is an underrated film.
Season of the Witch is tremendous, but if you're gonna bring up Rob Zombie, we can't skirt the issue of his Netflix Monsters film, which if anybody comes here and thinks in their head, I know what the worst movie ever made is, and you don't say Rob Zombie's The Monsters, you're wrong.
I got to tell you, the trailer made me so happy. I would genuinely be afraid that the movie would disappoint me.
It will 100% disappoint you.
But how did the trailer make you happy, Liam? What was happening to you that day?
You know what? Sometimes I root for people to fail. And when you're rebooting the Munsters and you don't have Fred Gwynne alive to be Herman, then you're not making a Munsters movie. I'm sorry.
Grandpa Al Lewis. I mean, don't forget about him.
Yeah, I was going to mention Grandpa Al Lewis. Yeah,
I met out Grandpa Al Lewis. He was a feisty old bastard. I'll say that.
I bet he was.
But I only met him in the context of New York City leftist politics. So our interactions left a lot.
Hey, Liam, I bet he wasn't the only vampire you met there.
No, I also met Randy Credico. You're absolutely correct. So before we start the show, and before we start discussion, I want to actually present a video first. I sent it to you guys last night in as part of the package. B.D. Wong, who we might all know from television. Before he was,
I worked with him.
Do tell.
I worked on Law and Order Special Victims Unit, and I will tell you the fun fact about B.D. Wong is that any scene he was in, and by that I mean every single scene he was in, you had to film his coverage last, his close-ups, because he never knew his lines and he was terrible. By the time you got to him, he'd have done them 7 or 8 times, so he might know his lines by then.
Well, of course, Christian, if you don't know, was a consultant who taught the crew all about being a sex criminal. So,
fun fact: we had mandatory sexual harassment seminar, and I ended up sitting next to Ice-T. And it was as though the entire seminar was directed right at me, but only because I was next to Ice-T. I think that was the reason we were there. Real name Tracy Marrow. License plate Pimpin' Ain't Easy. PMPN 8 Easy. I wish some of these were lies and made up from my own creativity, but it's all true.
Did you see Coco?
Coco was around a lot. Coco was around very often.
Yes. She's a lovely lady.
Yes. I feel like if Coco's around, that's sexually harassing everybody.
Correct. Yeah, my eyes were sexually.
You can't unsee it. Yeah, the second you look at her, you've broken a law and 5 commandments.
No, nothing wrong with that.
Sorry, so BD Wong. I'm sorry.
So BD Wong, before BD Wong was on SVU, before he was even on HBO's Oz, which is one of the all-time great terrible TV series, I think, of all time. You guys can feel free to disagree.
No, my problem with Oz was there wasn't enough rape.
Well,
I like the happy man-on-man action, like when there would be a kiss or a hug afterwards. That's what I was there for.
Yeah.
Well, so before that, he was a theater star. He was on a couple of TV series, and as a good publicist will do, he was booked to be on a Robin Leach series. Now, Robin Leach, of course, was famous in the 80s and early 90s for his Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous show, which was a syndicated show that I would watch at 3 a.m. in New York City, and it was just all about aiming a camera at the inside of mansions, while Robin Leach just kind of opulently, somehow he made his voice opulent.
Well, you remember the Dana Carvey impression? I'm Robin Leach. I'm yelling and I don't know why.
Yes, it would be like, Donald Trump has a brass gold-plated desk with over $17 million. And I'd be sitting at home, 10 years old going, I can't be right.
Yeah,
that desk can't be worth
But
$10
you
million.
don't need 1 million raisins to buy into this house.
Right.
Everything was a pun. And it was, but that was in the early days of kind of reality, in some ways, he was a trailblazer. We definitely, before we had Kardashians or any of that crap, we had him. We had that show.
Robin Leach had to walk so that Cribs could run.
Or limp.
Run DMC won't be walking to their West Coast crib with a swimming pool that cost a whopping $770,000 to install. Best show ever. So he also apparently had a show called Talking Food on the Food Network, and that was a show where he would get drunk and basically, he was a walking HR issue.
Hi, everybody. It's a Monday night in New York City. We're in a feisty mood. If you see anything that offends you on our television show tonight, you call.
All right, so that's the man who just got a talking to from his producers 10 seconds before camera started rolling. By the way, this is from BD Wong's Instagram. So he made this edit. He posted this. He made this edit. It's a short edit. I'm not responsible for it. I'm not even going to watch the whole thing, but it's quite remarkable.
My night was great.
Let me just brush across your thigh. Let me give one to our guest.
We could do a great drinking game of everything he does wrong, and it fireable.
Here, bang one.
Yes, you might get fucked up by the end of the next 2 minutes.
Go ahead. You can do no Wong.
Oh, gosh.
I just want to point out, he said you can do no Wong before he introduced his guest. I know that this is a supercut, but that's very clear.
To do it. I had to do the whole monologue.
You've been holding yourself back. I know.
All right, now.
Now that you've said that, oh, look at the poor man is choking over there.
So he should. Another foreigner in America making a lot of money.
Be nice.
Okay, so that was supposed to be self-deprecating, I think.
Sure.
Yeah, well, because he's a foreigner making money. So sure.
Right. Yeah. So the joke is supposed to be, haha, there's the two of us. But not after he says this.
Only he could speak English. Anyway,
the folks up at Jeremy's place
What
up here
does
on the
this
Upper East Side
say
in Manhattan.
about America?
It doesn't matter what it says, Robin. All it's a
Let me see if
successful
Mr.
new
Wong
thing.
can guess where this is made.
That's made?
Where is this made, Mr. Wong?
Is that a racial slur I feel coming on?
No.
Yes.
Am I wrong?
wouldn't touch
Am I
that
wrong?
with a-
No.
Right on top of that.
Yeah.
He
Made in
is.
Connecticut, USA.
I mean, it's a
Mr.
gag
Wong.
gift.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Wong.
Yes, sir.
Can I call you Mr. Wong, or do you want me to just
Please
call you
do.
BD?
No, please call me Mr. Wong.
Mr. Wong, what do you think of this piece of American genius?
Well, how much is it?
You could be called Betty Davis Wong,
I could.
but you chose
And I have been.
to be called BD Wong.
Yes.
I have a feeling that this guy is going to get the better of me tonight, but that's all right because we're live.
I have talked to so many drunk assholes in my life at bars.
Yeah.
And this guy is the epitome of like the drunk asshole who knows he's a drunk asshole and he's just going to go for it.
Well, also, one thing that's great here is he keeps harping on foreigner. BD Wong has no discernible accent.
No.
I don't know where he's from originally, but I assume he's from the U.S.
I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Obviously he's not. I mean, you know, Robin Leach, like that accent couldn't be any thicker, but he keeps harping on this. But yeah, BD Wong, I believe, was born here.
He was
BD
born
Wong-
in San Francisco, California.
Correct. So, yes, the
It's
guy with
doubly
the
insulting.
accent.
Good for him.
BD Wong is our guest this evening. I have a great respect for this guy, mainly because he's a foreigner and he's making lots of money out of America. Here's the thing I want to ask
keep
you.
making that joke
and
so
I'm not
funny.
being smart-assed, and I'm not being facetious, all right?
Of course not.
Tough for an Asian American to be a show business hit.
Yeah.
You were the first.
Okay, Christian, is this the first time you've watched this?
Yeah, because I watched the first couple minutes and I was like, you know what, I wanted to actually watch the rest on with you guys. I was just like, I'm kind of wasting my reaction just watching it. So I got to probably about 30 seconds before this, and I turned
Yes.
it off.
I'm sorry, it's just the look on your face was the look of a man who had never seen that on TV before. He's acting like this dude literally stepped off a ship and was holding a sign that said, "Well, please give me job in show business."
I wish that this edit, had when they came back from commercial and, that music.
Right off camera, Christian, there's a gong that he didn't get around to using, but it was there in case.
He was ready for it. Yeah.
Well, and even honestly, speaking of gong, I mean, he kind of reminded me of, Chuck Barris.
Barris, yeah.
Yeah, the host of the Gong Show, like he did the, thing, and he is lit in this interview.
Yeah, no, he didn't have a stiff drink before the show just to take the edge off. He's been drinking since probably 11 a.m.
or the 1980s.
Yes.
Well, this is what year is
91?
this?
This is the early 90s. Yeah.
Yeah. And to give you context too, I mean, this was early in his career, but at this point he had already been on Broadway for a good couple of years in M. Butterfly. He played Howard Weinstein in Father of the Bride. So he had a really, really legit career. But I love how they introduce him without his name and he's just in the background at a table by himself. I think every good talk show should do that.
He's only doing this to promote a show he's doing at the Public Theater that night. Like it's just which is a very prestigious theater in New York City.
How many people before you?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, the play that this man,
in the Pink Panther. That was it.
It's a
Kato. The character's name is Kato, by the way. Just
real issue for me and people
So let's get it off your chest.
Or the
Right
Green
here.
Hornet?
the play that
both.
Okay.
Good catch.
Yeah.
Yes. So Kato was I think that might have been a joke about the Green Hornet calling his sidekick Kato.
Bronfman Jr. is watching this show tonight, and he bought MCA. Well, let's check.
maybe he'll call.
Edgar.
And when you chastised me for not wearing a suit
I'll
tonight, and I
delete.
felt bad. I actually tucked my shirt in.
Well, I'll take my jacket off.
So-
If you want to feel comfortable, I'm wearing a Made in Formosa shirt. All right.
And there's also a thing that I think occurs because people that are not minorities generally run things. And when you're not a minority, you don't really take to heart the plight of what it means to be a disenfranchised person. So you can't.
So this is something I've heard a lot. This is exactly the context it needs to be said in. Like this is just absolutely BD Wong is explaining something to Robin Leach he's never heard before.
Yeah,
you know?
And I'm surprised it's taken me this long into your show to make this comparison, Liam. But watching Robin Leach, I mean, he's 30 sheets to the wind. Talk to this man and try and do an interview. It can only remind me of the way that interviews are conducted by one man, and that would, of course, be Stuttering John Melendez.
Oh, say more.
When he was talking to that female sportscaster, that's specifically the interview this reminds me of. He's so drunk, and he's like,
BD Wong, do you do anal?
My first guess is BJ Wong.
By the way, Robin Leach's opening gags about the name Wong, not too far off. I think you might be right.
Really
can we talk when I get back
that.
about me being a minority in America?
Yes, if we have to.
All right, when we're
Okay, we're going to come
this
back.
has got to be
commercial.
the dumbest question of my entire life. all
Why
right?
do I doubt that?
Probably.
Why?
No, because I've never asked a dumb question in my entire life. How did they cast you as Howard Weinstein?
They thought it was funny, and I guess I
Well,
thought
it
it
is
was funny
funny,
too.
but that was just the sole reason.
Yes, so in a comedy, they did some casting to be funny. I would love to know what the answer that Robin Leach was looking for. Maybe something anti-Semitic, so that he could really start riffing.
Well, I think
did you hate playing a bloody Jew?
Actually,
When you walked into church on Sunday, did the water start sizzling and crackling as you walked by it?
it's not how they cast me. How they cost me. It's
Oh, you stupid Chinaman.
All right, I just want to bask in that for a second. Just want to light some incense and let that waft over all of us.
I just
I think you're going a little far.
I just took a screenshot of this because I want to remember this moment forever as well. So the three of us watching him saying that.
If you want, I'll rewind it a little bit. Get ready. Here we go. It's a moment so nice we have to enjoy it twice.
it's
Oh, you stupid Chinaman. Pick up the knife, cut the meat, sideways.
I'm smiling.
Sideways.
I'm smiling.
No, I'm joking. I'm not being rude. How many Asian Americans are in the Screen Actors Guild?
Okay, so I'm not being rude, followed by an incredibly racist and rude question. What if BD Wong knew? That's the thing that I asked myself as I watched this, was like, what if he could name every Asian American person in set?
Right. No, he could have been on like some kind of committee. They'll have all sorts of. At least I know the Writers Guild does this because my wife's on one. So he could have very well been like, oh, there's whatever 863. That's a low number. That's not the point. He could have had that number ready to go, and that would have been amazing.
Well, and also, in case you can't tell, this is a panel on Asian American representation in Hollywood. That's why BD Wong was invited to this show, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he was told ahead of time, hey, we're going to get into the history of Asian portrayals. We're going to talk about Charlie Chan. Obviously, that's why he's here. And that's exactly why you would get Robin Leach, who really can speak right to the Asian American experience so well.
Well, first of all, if they got Walter Olenden to actually talk to BD Wong, that would have been amazing. Secondly, no, it's actually they're going to get BD Wong cooking in a minute.
Well,
this is just the first.
Don't you love it how he has to say, "I'm not being rude"?
No, whether it's jest or please touch me again. It felt so good.
No, thank you.
We'll be back in a moment when Killer Kate Connolly is in the kitchen and hosts BD Wong as they cook up a storm. Who knows whether it'll be Chinese noodles, Italian pasta, or whatever. I mean, you've been watching the debut episode of
Technically, all Italian noodles are Chinese noodles also.
Asian cooking for our American friends. All American Girl, starring our good friend B.D. Wong, who has a brand new career now as a chef here at the Television Food Network.
That was really
America's only Oriental who can cook American style. Is that true?
No, it's not true.
How do you know how many Chinese Americans are out there?
Okay. You start the sentence with the word Oriental.
Yeah, that's a good starting point.
Switch gears into Chinese Americans.
And
91, though, it still was, dare I say, the nomenclature, unfortunately, of the time. I feel like we weren't yet sort of saying Asian American versus Oriental. I think that was, really common back then, unfortunately.
I also think, lost in all of this, we have to commend Robin Leach's co-host, Danny Pintoro from TV's Who's the Boss, doing a tremendous job just keeping the show moving along.
Coming up next, Peter Lorre as Mr. Moto.
That can cook America.
My mother is a great.
Well, then we'll hire her. You're out of here. You're fired.
Hi, Mom.
Did you have fun with us this evening? Thank you so much for coming.
Yes.
Please, everybody,
Wonderful.
go watch A Language of Their Own down at the Public Theater here in New York with our good friend
Check it
B.D.
out.
Wong. Extraordinary rise to fame, breaking down every stereotype and every barrier. And we thank good that there's a great sense of humor that beats behind the heart.
Okay, well that was just an appetizer. I just wanted to kind of set the table a little bit for what we're going to watch, which has nothing to do with what we just watched.
That was very tough to watch. My understanding is when that aired live, the station got a call that said, "This guy's too drunk to be on TV," from Christopher Hitchens.
Well, Christian, you'll be watching this unironically on Quadfather show tomorrow night, so you're all prepared.
No, I was on earlier tonight.
I know, I was kidding.
No, that's when I saw the first 5 minutes, and I asked him to stop playing it because I wanted to watch it with you. He was laughing a lot.
Okay, so anyway, so we're here to talk about a certain movie that the three of us got a chance to see. It was a collaboration between the director David Ayers, who is unfortunately, in my opinion, best known for the movies, the unpopular The Suicide Squad.
No, his is just Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad is the James Gunn one, which some would say is the good one. It's at the very least, it's the better one.
It's definitely the better one. I'll tell you what, though, I watched Suicide Squad as soon as it hit Netflix about 6 years ago, and I'm not here to tell you it was a good movie. I'm here to tell you it was a movie I could not turn off. And I think as much as David Ayers, especially recently, has gotten a bad rep on the filmmaking front because he had one of those, he had a reverse 1994. Of course, we all know in 1994, Steven Spielberg released back-to-back Jurassic Park and Schindler's List. One, of course, was a feel-good, everyone can come and cheer their asses off movie, and the other was about dinosaurs. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
I was about to say, oh, you mean Quadfather's favorite comedy?
But he had a reverse of that, where he released Suicide Squad into theaters, and then immediately followed up with the Netflix original Bright, starring a very tired-looking Will Smith, from a script by Max Landis. That's basically what if LA cops had to deal with orcs. That was like the entire pitch was like, the orcs from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
What if LAPD had to deal with those? It was not a critical success, I will say that. And his career took a little bit of a hit. And he was put in director jail for a few years. But then he came back a couple years ago with The Beekeeper with Jason Statham. And I have to say, as much as David Ayers gets shit on, and rightfully for those two movies, he's really good, unfortunately, at a type of movie. He's great at a type of movie that peaked in the 1980s, which is like the high concept, high octane action thriller.
I thought you were going to say snuff films, but yes, I think your explanation sounds better.
Foot fetish videos?
Fetish video. Well, I mean, some would call this movie both a snuff film and a fetish video. There's a lot going on in it. But before we talk about the movie, we should talk about the experience of going to see the movie at the AMC 5 on a Wednesday night with 8 other moviegoers. There was a fella in. All right, so let's start. We enjoyed this movie, right? Correct.
I had a lot of fun at the theater.
It was a wonderful night out with some fine gentlemen.
Yes.
Okay, so I grew up in New York City in the 80s and 90s, where if you went to see an action movie in the theater, there was a little bit of audience participation.
Oh, yeah.
Like you weren't supposed to talk loudly to your friend or get on a phone. Like, I guess, have an usher run in with a landline and pick it up and have you talk loudly or anything like that.
Operator, Algonquin 6476, please.
Have you seen
579, please?
I'm watching Tapa. This ghost is one heck of a fella. He's really making a mess of the lives of this couple. So the way I was raised in a big city was if you were enjoying a movie, you loudly responded to it. So at the theater, I didn't jump up out of my seat. I didn't run around. I didn't throw things at the screen.
Well, that's because there was no chicken jockey in this movie.
Boy, I wish there had been a chicken jockey.
But much to the detriment of the film,
Yeah,
I would argue.
that would have helped. Probably late in Act 2, a chicken jockey could have saved it.
I will say, if you look up India and movie theaters, there are some fantastic videos of just fireworks going off inside theaters because people are really enjoying themselves. It's so we didn't do that, but I would say we were laughing and clapping. And
Liam, you did talk to the screen a little bit. You did,
I did talk to the screen.
Listen, I say this with peace and love, as Christian knows. I'm only filled with peace and love.
Peace and love.
Yeah. But yeah, no, you were interacting with the screen, but not in a way that got in. It's not like the plot was so complicated that we missed a key plot point because of these moments of our laughter or anything. Like you don't go to Working Man to think. Quite the opposite. No. If you're thinking, you're probably not in that theater.
And by the way, I wasn't like having a conversation with the screen. No. There was a moment at the beginning of Act 3 when I said, "What the fuck is this movie?" And by the way, it's because I didn't know what the fuck this movie was trying to be anymore.
Valid questions. Listen, I totally supported it because none of us knew, except that guy in front of us.
Well, the guy in front of us, I think, was less. I mean, I don't think he was happy that there was talking, but we were laughing throughout the movie. And spoiler for your audience, it's not a comedy.
No.
There were probably 2 lighthearted moments that you might have chuckled at, but we were laughing because. Considering that this is a Jason Statham movie, the man who's been involved in multiple Crank films, this was just unbelievable what we watched.
Dude, this is a movie that you go with your buddies or you invite your buddies to your house and you just eat popcorn and you just let it wash over you and you don't think about it till the movie's over.
Yeah, in college, this would have been only watched with malt liquor. Even though we had ways of getting better alcohol, specifically, you rent this for the experience of drinking the Old English.
As a high school dropout, this is the movie you put on at 2 a.m. when everyone's high and you want to start playing poker. It's just this is a total VHS film. And by the way, that's not a criticism. This is David Ayers does these movies about as well as you can do them. But that guy in front of us, so you couldn't see Christian because he was directly in front of you.
Yeah.
But anytime any of the 3 of us laughed or reacted in any way, he would turn and give me and Eric a dirty look.
Well, that's because I'm too handsome to criticize.
He was going after the larger bearded men.
Yeah.
He thought of Christian as more of a twink.
Literally halfway through the movie, I was like, this guy might get up and fight us.
I thought it might happen. There was a non-zero chance that he might have stood up and tried to fight all 3 of us.
Especially,
I felt good. We had reach and weight on him.
Yeah,
we did. But you know what? I saw him. He was in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
And he was one of those shaved head guys, like intentionally shaved head, not like oh, I'm going a little bit bald and I'm
Not like Godfather's friends.
No, not like Godfather's friends. He wasn't going to curb stomp anybody.
Okay, gotcha. So he's not army major. He's not curb stomping.
But anyway, so we're talking about the movie, and I just want to get into it a little bit. So, Eric, we've talked a little bit about the beginning of the film. There's a fight. That really just establishes. So this movie is based on Chuck Dixon's book series. And I'm forgetting, of course, I'm blanking on the protagonist's name, but it's all about this guy who's an ex-Green Beret, or in this movie, British military man, who just wants to quit that life and work as a blue-collar guy and raise his daughter in peace and quiet. But wouldn't you know it, over the course of 13 books and counting, terrorists keep interacting with him. So we have to establish early on that this guy's not only blue-collar working class guy, but he's also a good soul underneath that rough exterior, and that he's a badass who can kick all kinds of ass. And I'm just going to jump right into this.
By the way, his name is Levon Cade, because when you look at that face that's Jason Statham, you think, Levon?
Well,
he shall be.
We'll talk about this a little bit later. But
instead of me. Thank you, Eric.
There's a few changes from the original book series. Like, Levon's more of an American name, but also David Harbour plays a character that was originally an elderly African-American gentleman named Gunny in the books, but then they got David Harbour to play him. And so they said, fuck you. Oh, so I wanted to finish talking about introducing the movie. So this was originally going to be a Balboa production TV series. And this is why Sylvester Stallone is listed as a co-writer and producer in this film, was that he was actually developing this. Originally, he had optioned this book series as a TV series, like, I guess in the vein of Justified or something like that, with the idea that, like, Levon Cade
or Babysitter's Club, some series that you would want to adapt. Yes.
But somehow this ended up being a crappy, the kind of crappy movie Stallone would have starred in 20 years ago.
Well, much more recently than that,
or 2 years ago, or 2 weeks ago.
I think we talked about this afterwards. The storyline is very similar to the last Rambo movie that he made. And by last, I don't just mean most recent. I mean, he will definitely never make another one. I think it was Rambo 4. Like, I think they went that long before.
That was John Rambo was the last one.
Okay. So this one.
Or was it Last Blood?
I
think it was called Rambo Last Blood.
I think that might have been what it was called. So, okay. And it's a very similar thing. Somebody gets kidnapped, and he has to go into Mexico while they're basically being human trafficked. Spoiler alert: that girl dies. The movie is a huge bummer, and it's also just terrible all around. But he gets his revenge at the end, and this is like a happier version of that. I feel like. And what you're saying, I'm sure is true, but my thinking was that this was just an earlier draft of that movie. And he was like, well, let's try this again. Let's just plug that in here. But it makes more sense what you're saying. Then that's why Stallone was involved. I honestly would have much preferred he did a Tango and Cash TV series, but I might be in the minority there.
I think
or a vertical series.
A what series? I'm sorry.
A vertical series. That's the new thing the kids love. Last Blood also clearly did not start life as a Rambo movie. We were talking about that too. Like, it was clearly some spec floating around out there, and they basically just said, "Well, what if we put Rambo in this?" Because there's nothing connecting it to any other Rambo film whatsoever.
Sometimes that works. Die Hard with a Vengeance was just a script called Simon Says. And they were like, yeah, but what if we put John McClane in this? Maybe it'll help us forget about Die Hard 2, Die Harder. It didn't, but it was actually a tremendous film.
By the way, Die Hard originally was a sequel to a Sinatra movie called The Detective.
Right. And because of the film rights, they had to offer the lead in Die Hard to Frank Sinatra, who was in his 80s at the time. It was a formality, but they did have to offer it to him.
And then to Joe Piscopo.
I wish.
I would love to live in a world where 80-year-old Frank Sinatra was crawling through the air ducts.
Yeah, we'll come out to the coast. We'll have a few laughs. Joey Bishop will come by.
Ring a ding ding! I gotta go to this broad's Christmas party. But having anyway, moving on. Although, I mean, this is just me speculating. This project may have started with Stallone buying the rights to this book series so he wouldn't get sued making a movie similar to it. But in any case, it's written by Chuck Dixon, who is most famous for being a longtime Punisher writer.
Yes,
on the Punisher,
and I have his email address, and I should have asked him to come on this with us, and that's bad on me. I forgot.
Email him now. We'll wait. Yeah,
he's not up. Yeah, no, that's how I knew his name. He also wrote some quintessential Batman stories, in creating the character of Bane. But I knew him from, I think, predominantly Punisher War Journal. Hey, nerds, I know the difference between that and the regular Punisher series. But he was a fan of the radio show I worked for, so I got to know Chuck Dixon a little bit, and I am sure that he at least made some money on this being optioned. So good for him.
I'll go 5 minutes.
Nails.
Yeah, the only thing that beats a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a bucket of nails.
The new toxic cement coming to you live.
I was respectful. You weren't. Get out of here. Get up. Don't come back.
And they never do.
They never do.
No connection to anything else in the film from this scene, which is maybe my favorite part about the film.
Yeah, cartels never seek vengeance for having their asses kicked by strangers.
Personally, I was offended by the goon who presented in whiteface, and I actually, it made me really uncomfortable. I did like that Statham's wearing a hard hat the whole time, because that's how you know he's at least being safe when he tosses a bucket of nails at someone. Which, by the way, we sometimes would call that getting Lenny Dykstra.
By the way, I wish he had been like, hold on, I got to put on some goggles and I got to put on my gloves. I'm a working man.
Safety first.
You're wearing closed-toed shoes.
But yeah, so I thought the first half of that scene was part of that clip, so I apologize for not setting it up correctly. But essentially, He sees one of his workers, a Mexican fella, getting beat up by a gang, and as most construction foremen do, he just waited in there alone and unarmed to beat up 5 cartel dudes
with ease. I mean, these were incredibly inexperienced. Like whatever's the opposite of a bouncer is what these guys are. They're very soft, and also he hit that one guy with the pickaxe right square in like the bridge of the nose, and there's a sound effect that sounds like he just like that guy's face should be crushed. And then I realized in watching it again, like there is no blood. So
there's a lot of very suspect ADR work, and we're going to be talking about that in a couple of clips.
I was listening to it on headphones. It's fantastic. The sound designer in this should either get an Oscar or never be allowed to work anywhere in LA again.
Yes, I believe the sound effect was actually some of those from the 60s Adam West Batman show. You know, it was kerplunk.
Just trumpet sounds.
And by the way, that fight scene illustrates what happens with a guy known for not creating, but a guy known for writing The Punisher, collaborates with the guy who was John Rambo and stars the guy from hits such as well, Crank's still the only one I can come up with because of his character name in Crank is Chev Chelios, and nothing would ever top that.
By the way, someone did have a gun. I'm looking at the chat right now. I'm looking at a Christian wrote. Thank God.
Well, Scott said none of them had a gun.
No, he wrestled that gun away from one of them, didn't he?
Yeah, there was a fellow with a gun, but he used a pickaxe.
Yeah.
Which we all know beats gun every time.
As does nails, as does dry cement.
It reminded me a little bit of the Naked Gun series when he would just throw a pillow in the bad guy's face and go.
Yeah, this action scene it feels like something they might have added because it kind of reminds me the first X-Men, that scene where Wolverine's at that bar and gets into a fight. But that was a real late addition because they're like, well, they didn't have Wolverine do anything tough for quite a while. And the head of Fox at the time was like, dude, we need something of him being a badass. So they quickly put together that scene. Except here, in some ways, it has the opposite effect because it actually is a really terribly filmed scene. So like that moment with the nails, there's nothing dangerous looking about that. It doesn't even look like nails. It looks almost like screws that were dull. And so it actually is subtraction by addition. Like they put in the scene and it makes everything that follows it a little bit less exciting because it starts so flat-footed.
I would even say it looks like shitty CGI. Okay, so moving on to the next scene. We're still in the construction site. We haven't even started the plot yet. So we're about to meet I guess you would call her, I'm going to call her Deus Machina because she has no character really. She's the 19-year-old daughter of the construction work of the family that owns, say, family owned and run construction shop, like a mom and pop construction business that just happens to build skyscrapers in the middle of big
and the family's not Italian. All right, sure. Let's just keep going with that.
Hey, the Trumps, the Toll brothers. I mean, there's lots of family-run businesses like this.
Do we know which city this was set in? I still haven't figured it out.
Chicago. I think it was Chicago.
Yeah, they had Illinois license plates, and there's a lot of talk about Lou Malnati's deep dish pizza. And let's go down to Gene and Giorgetti's and get a garbage salad, if you know what I mean.
George Wendt is in every scene. It just
the Cubbies are on WGN. We'll go ahead and throw that on at the TV while we're there.
So we meet the daughter, and she's like the perfect daughter. She's 19. She's a student. She decided to start playing the piano, but somehow she also secretly learned CIA techniques for thigh crushing.
Her grandfather taught her those. That is in the exposition, Liam.
That's in the exposition. So I forgot it by the end of the movie.
You were too busy getting stared at by that guy to have picked up on that.
Here's the thing. There's a lot of information that's presented to the audience in this movie. We keep getting a lot of new characters introduced late, a lot of different situations. But essentially, this is the scene that introduces our victim / reason for the movie to exist.
Was that some military?
You didn't see anything.
Your dad knew he'd ship bricks. Can I see history? Look, my grandpa, he was a paratrooper.
There it
Told me
is.
how to break fingers,
There it is.
track animals.
But he doesn't say he taught me how to crack a neck.
No, with my thighs.
Yeah, with my.
Which would be an awesome grandpa to teach his young granddaughter that trick.
By the way, she's about 32 in this
Why is
scene.
everyone always feeding me?
If we don't, you'll just eat canned tuna and peanut butter.
You didn't see anything, okay?
Snitches get stitches. Just get my back if I ever need it.
Sure, Jenny.
See ya.
So snitches get stitches is oddly enough a recurring joke in this movie. And it starts with him saying, hey, I just single-handedly beat up 6 cartel members all by myself to defend a member of my crew. I hope nobody mentions this.
Yeah, I don't think the word's going to get out. Anyway, stitches get Snitches Get Stitches is right up there with if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
Makes sense,
Right. It's I believe in movie lore, it's We'll Always Have Paris.
Yep.
And I'll Be Back, and then Snitches Get Stitches.
It was an early Shakespeare quote, one of his lesser known plays.
So she gets kidnapped. She and her friends basically, she takes $19,000 of the company's money and goes out to celebrate graduating the ninth grade.
She finished 1 year of college, I believe, or maybe even one semester.
One semester of college, and
this was their end of the semester blowout bash, I think.
By the way, I am in college. I am currently on the dean's list. I was too exhausted to throw a $19,000 party for myself after my first semester.
Dean Martin's list.
I'm on Dean Martin's list.
Ring
it. Hey, fellas. But yeah. So she's out there, and God bless the movie Taken. There would be no this movie without the movie Taken. First of all,
I agree. I agree with that. Yeah.
This movie has Taken's DNA all over it. It's like I spent the night with Taken.
Well, and also thank you to Taken. Otherwise, Maggie Grace wouldn't have worked since 2006. So thank you to the Taken series.
So randomly, the people who pick up teens to sell on the international black market for Russian gangsters are two Irish fuck-ups. And we know that they're kind of tough because they're Irish. This is an international film. Everyone gets a turn to be a piece of shit in this movie. And it's an Irish junkie couple, and they pick her out in a nightclub. They take a picture, or the bartender takes a picture of her.
Yeah.
And then a Russian gangster points her out. She gets taken. She's taken. Now, in the original book, at this point, she's dead. So, just like in your beloved Rambo Final Blood movie, at this point in the book, she's just dead. Sorry, spoiler alert to anyone who hasn't read a 15-year-old book yet. But in the movie, she's still very much alive and transported from location to location. And we get this fantastic scene with Michael Pena as her father, Mr. Garcia. And I think this is the first time that guy in front of us really got pissed off at me in particular.
She went out with her friends on Friday. Saturday, we were worried, so we called the cops, and then on Sunday, she had a piano recital on Sunday night.
Because she's 11.
My cousin Dinora's a police captain in Philly, and she says they don't work these cases. They take a report and forget about it.
Yes, they do.
Can you help us?
Now watch this upcoming Michael Pena performance, because I want to talk about it for a second.
My dad was a Green Beret. I can see you guys coming a mile away. You hunt bad guys. Jump out of planes. And you get those bad guys.
I'm a different person now.
Okay, so here's what I was talking about with the incredible ADR work in this film. What it felt to me like was they shot this scene, and David Ayers really wanted his voice to break.
Yeah.
At this moment, but he just wasn't getting what he was looking for in this moment. So instead of doing the work of bringing Pena in, making him lip sync to his performance and kind of subtly deliver something, he just cut to coverage of Jason Statham, and it felt like he just brought Pena into an ADR booth and told him to just go for it.
Or Liam, something to consider. It's not even Michael Pena. I mean, oftentimes when you're doing ADR like this long after the fact for a movie with a limited budget, you actually don't get the actor anymore. The contract's done. So it's also possible this is just the non-union equivalent of Michael Pena, who, by the way, Michael Pena is normally a fantastic performer.
Yes.
And he is awful in this. And I hate to say it because he's a nice guy.
Yeah. When I saw this, I was like, wow, Ant-Man 4 really is a departure for this series. He was probably already on to his next project, so they did the next best thing, and they asked John Leguizamo to do his ADR, and I think that's why it sounds so different. But yeah, the voice cracking off camera is a choice for sure. And yes, we were definitely laughing at all of that. I mean, it's already funny when he's like, "My old man was a Green Beret."
Yeah,
I can see you guys coming a mile away. It's like Linda Richmond on SNL, getting verklempt. Talk amongst yourselves.
I was going to say it sounded more like Bud Abbott when Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. I mean, sorry, Lou Costello. I apologize.
It's also like, okay, the Green Beret mention of Grandpa happened twice now. So part of me was actually hoping Green Beret Grandpa would show up. Though we did get David Harbour in the Sam Elliott kind of mentor role, which I'm a big fan of. Blind mentors, bearded mentors, or someone who's both.
Now, it was never explicitly stated he was blind, correct? That's something we're supposed to infer.
I think it's I think that they say it. He's got the dark glasses on, and I think he might even say it, David Harbour. But I don't know. I think we all knew.
Jenny, all right. She a good kid?
She's a great kid.
So blind people can't drink.
By the way, there's no reason for this scene to be in this movie. It just absolutely. In fact,
you do this.
Well, I'll play it through.
You better go full on, no half measures, but you do. Gotta help them.
I told Jenny I had her back.
Well, I miss you. I worry about you. But you didn't have to come down here and pretend that you needed my permission for something that you already made your mind up about.
Okay, so when the guy in the scene says there's no need for you to come here and do this,
right?
Then I say to myself, well, then why are we here? He's absolutely correct.
Yeah, well, I mean, Statham should have said, yeah, but what do you want me to do? Put out an 80-minute movie? So let's talk about it.
He had to drop on the plot front. He did have to drop off his daughter.
Right.
And then also they're like, oh my God, we have David Harbour for like 2 days for however much money he gets overpaid for this kind of movie. So they're like, all right, well, maybe we should add a scene of him doing David Harbour-y stuff because we got him. So why not give him a moment of actually acting?
I would also say, I'm guessing, and obviously I wasn't there when they negotiated with his agent, but this is a character that appears in all 13 books. So I'm guessing that they told David Harbour, like, look, just come in for a week, do it for this amount of money, and it's guaranteed you will be back throughout the franchise as much as you like.
The spinoff that we're all clamoring for is David Harbour's character from Working Man.
Hey man, I'll tell you what, Violent Night, I love that movie, and
I love that movie too, Violent Night. By the way, also David Harbour and also Michael Pena in Violent Night. Now that's a tremendous film. We watch it every year with the family ever since it came out. Not on Christmas. We just watch it every week.
Do we want to watch the introduction to Dutch? The large black overacting mercenary whose respect Jason Statham has to get.
I think we deserve it. We've earned the right to see that, Liam.
Okay, so this is I'm jumping around a little bit. The David Harbour scene actually for the obligatory visiting my mentor scene, which a lot of action movies have. It happened really late into the film. I was actually kind of surprised. I think it even happened after the first act break. Sorry, guys, I've studied screenwriting. I'm using some technical terms now. But this scene happens a little bit earlier, and Jason Statham basically, he's on the track of the kidnappers now. And in a plot that I think Inspector Clouseau would have been like, that is a little bit too complicated. He's decided to pose as a meth dealer to get in with a biker gang, so that then they'll introduce him to their supplier, who he's just hoping is the son of this Russian gangster.
Run your pockets, Chief. Let's check for that badge.
Okay. He's on the throne from Game of Thrones. Can we talk about this for a second?
I mean, I love that. That's probably the best set dressing in the entire film.
Actually, a reference I know both you gents would likely get. This looks more like the throne of dildos they had for Ronnie Munn's 69th birthday party.
Those fuck some whores.
TOPLESS.
Okay, so this guy, he's just skeptical. He's right to be skeptical, but he doesn't like Jason Statham at all.
No, and I find that this character is very distracting, who I call Nick Rekieta in a cowboy hat.
Fight music. There's some holes in this house. There's some holes.
Putting this song on is the only way our buddy Husey can get off.
Is this
Well, he would have gotten off the first time Jason Statham showed up without a hat.
He liked this movie, right?
Yes, he did.
That was brilliant.
I would have invited him, but it's like...
I know, this was probably not the Dropkick Murphys.
No, I was thinking of the...
So many screams of pain.
I actually would like to see a fight scene set in Black 47 She's up there like, eat the mouse!
Enough!
Let me just kill this one.
My grandpa told me to never shake hands sitting.
Grandpas have a lot of real estate in this movie.
Look at those bricks.
Look, this is a movie... This is basically porn for middle-aged men.
Well, also, his grandpa willed to him the outfit that Isaac Hayes wore on the jacket of his album Hot Buttered Soul.
Now, when your grandpa was giving you advice about running a meth ring with a bunch of bikers, number one piece of advice, never shake hands while sitting. Number two... All right, so
which is interesting because the only advice I ever got from my grandfather was to not turn my back on Italians.
I'm gonna say though, this...
Can we talk more about Christian's grandpa at the end of this, please?
Yeah, he also said, when you make a deal with a Jew, you count your fingers and your toes.
Make sure you still have your watch, Christian.
I'll tell you something about. He kept it in his ass. I'll tell you something about my grandfather after the stream ends. I can't say it on a stream.
Okay. Well, that sounds like you're making the right decision.
I would have said it on Quadfather's show though, and he would have been impressed.
This is one to grow on with Christian's grandpa.
All right. So anyway, there's a lot of, by the way, I want to talk for a second about how David Ayers shoots fight scenes.
Yeah,
because I feel like we're all fight aficionados, all fight movie aficionados. I would say it's the Michael Bay style without all the confusing edits. Like the kind of like off kilter angles, the shooting into red lights, the weird cutting away to a woman just kind of like up on a stool. It's not quite as basic as Walter Hill would have done it, I think, but it's still, I think he did a very good job filming the fight scenes in this movie, especially if you've seen the movie Bright, which is full of confusing, fast edit fights. Yeah. This is one where I could follow Jason Statham throughout the sequence.
Yeah, look, the only chance anyone has of walking away from this movie thinking, oh yeah, I had fun with that, or I enjoyed that, is if they're only focused on the fight scenes. It's kind of all you have to get right is the fight scenes in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, you were saying middle-aged porn. Porn for middle-aged men. Middle-aged porn, I'm going to be doing a show about at midnight tonight. But yeah, we're here for the fight scenes. The stuff in between, if anything, there's too much of that. Like, I don't even know why they kind of bothered with even a remotely complex plot, which this really isn't. But his whole scheme to find her and all the, like, so many bad guys, like, I feel like they kind of did a disservice by just getting in the way of the fights, which are lean and mean. They get to the point. Yeah, and I agree, Liam. You can follow them. You can understand when he took that guy and bent his arms. Like, yeah, that's probably going to hurt.
I appreciate getting a more honest portrayal of Russian gangsters than in the Oscar-winning Nora. I felt like this was at least a little bit more grounded.
Yeah, so definitely the guy who, I gotta say, the Fredo Corleone of the Russian mob, I like that guy.
I do too.
He might have been my second favorite character after Jason Statham. But I'm a big Jason Statham fan, and I will watch him in almost anything.
I'm a Jason Statham apologist, so I'm with you on that. Yes.
No, I realized how few Jason Statham movies I'd seen on the big screen. Like, I was like going through his IMDb listing, and I think I've only seen maybe 3 of them, like, actually in the theater, including Snatch. So I've seen them, but always small screen, which is where they probably should be.
Speaking of everything we've been talking about, I saw Fate of the Furious, which is, and everybody's in this action film. I don't know if you gentlemen have seen it.
I've not.
It's basically
submarine.
Oh, you mean the radio-controlled nuclear submarine that's completely unmanned and chasing our heroes in their Hummers across a Arctic ice sheet? Yes.
Yeah.
And where The Rock leans out of his Hummer and pushes a torpedo that's been shot out of him out of the way. Yes, I would say that is. So that was a movie where I just started fucking going nuts because the longer this movie went on, the more ridiculous it was, the more I loved it. And then everybody else in the theater started laughing and applauding and cheering. And we had an amazing time. This was in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, by the way, Hipster Central, where people were genuinely, like, I felt bad, negative energy at me when I started reacting in the theater. But by the end of it, literally, there's a scene where, and I believe I'm spoiling a movie that's now 10 years old. There's a scene where Vin Diesel suddenly jumps an ice ridge to save the day. Everybody in the theater went fucking nuts. Like, there's just, you can't.
I'm trying to visualize an entire theater filled with guys who look like roadies from Mumford and Sons, just loving and enjoying this. And I feel like I'm in Williamsburg with you right now, while they all ironically sip PBRs.
See, I have a different view of Williamsburg because my mom's from there, and so I'm thinking old school Williamsburg. A lot of Hasidic Jews also in that theater, also very excited.
I thought you were going to say colonial Williamsburg, which is a very different turn of phrase.
I would say I'm a little more familiar with the other old Williamsburg of the 80s and 90s. So it was half and half, or it was like half Mumford and Son roadies and half Puerto Rican families. And we all just kind of came together to celebrate the last third of this movie. So anyway, speaking of Puerto
Ricans.
Speaking of Puerto Ricans and filler, we're going to come back now for no good reason for another, I call this clip Very Acting, where we just come back to talk to Michael Pena again to just give him an update on what's going on. Like, just to let him know, because the audience cannot follow what's going on.
Is this the Puerto Rican version of Sitting Shiva, by the way? I don't quite know everyone in the family is there at the house, and it looks like no one can go anywhere.
They're all in the kitchen because, again, they're running with stereotypes left and right, but he's up there drinking, which is not a stereotype at all.
Right. No, he's drinking rum, by the way. So really just not leaning into it.
When my wife passed,
Oscar,
and I left the Royal Marines, a lot of people would have given up on me.
Oh, this music.
You were patient with me.
You taught me how to love again, Michael.
Jenny.
Anyway, this turns out to be the piece that she's playing later when he finds her.
Oh, so it's foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. That's the technical term for it.
It's probably the same recording they use later. All they did is edit out to invoke his name again in this episode. The only thing that they did was edit out Dana Carvey saying, "Chopper broccoli."
I'm gonna bring her home, and then we're gonna make love.
All right, I like Michael Pena a lot. I do not get what he was told to go for in that scene.
Well, and also I was curious, have you guys seen him do any publicity for this film whatsoever?
I haven't seen anyone do any publicity for this film.
Well, there's that too.
Not even the actress who played Jenny, who crushes people with her thighs before she plays piano.
Her piano playing
thighs. I decided to save you guys, but I have video interviews with each and every cast member of this film talking about.
Oh no, you gave us like a supercut of those. At which point, I believe
I gave you some B-roll, and I gave you.
But there was like a trailer that was intercut with them, and I believe Michael Pena called it an emotional roller coaster.
Right. Because
not the word I'd use.
Look, it's not professional to say, I don't know, man. I showed up, I read some pages, I went home. Like that's the reality of it. Was I showed up. I hope this movie got released one day, and I went home.
No, I'm sorry. I misquoted the gentleman. Emotional joyride. Which makes even less sense somehow.
Especially
that makes a lot less sense, actually.
What part of the joyride is when you watch him moping in his apartment, crying? But I definitely felt like those scenes were first take, best take. Like I didn't really get a sense that David Ayers is any kind of Stanley Kubrick when it comes to making his actors repeat and repeat.
No, but you I don't know if you guys ever saw like End of Watch. That was one of his earlier directing production. And that one actually the acting's great.
I actually forgot. I did see that. Yeah.
I think Michael Pena's in that, isn't he? I think he's
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's him and Jake Gyllenhaal, and the acting in that's terrific. So he knows how to direct actors, but it seems like after Suicide Squad, he's like, why do I even bother?
Look, when you have to direct Jared Leto with the Joker tattoos and also Will Smith in the same movie, it breaks a man.
I will also say, the budget for this movie was in the 40 millions. This was not a big budget. Seriously,
I thought it was half of that, if that. I mean, it seems so cheap, this movie.
Well, it's because they filmed it in Louisiana, so you can feel the tax incentives through every pore of this film.
We lost some actors to a Gators. Gator attack took away. No, so it's a low budget film. It seems like a lot of the energy and attention went to the fight scenes and like it just seemed like he probably spent a week filming the scene where Statham has the old Russian gangster over the swimming pool. Like, just there's like loving attention paid to certain things, and then it just seems like the actual rescue of Jenny took 3 minutes to film, and they got the fuck out of there. But let's go to the last clip that I have here, and it's labeled Dutch Rematch. Because, when you structure a movie like a video game, one of the final boss fights has to be one of the original bosses that you fought, but now he's back and he's stronger for some reason. I just want to play. I'll play it again, but I want to give it up for the stunt actor who did that little spin twirly thing and took Dutch down. That was actually quite masterful. I wish he was in a better film.
Levin. Nice to meet you, Levin.
Levin?
Brady's son?
Levin.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know he was Jewish.
Oh, wait. Let me start that over. I'm sorry. I fucked that up for everybody. I thought it was Levon.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, here we go. Cut the stunt actor. Bam! Look at that. All right, and then we get this.
What the f is your real name? Levin. Nice to meet you, Levin. You ready, son?
Son. He's twice his age.
Twice as well. That's more of an urban vernacular.
That's like calling an adult gentleman kid. You ready for this, kid? Yeah. You wouldn't know. You're not from the mean streets like Liam and I. Your corner of Delaware was.
I fought my way into life. I'm fighting my way out, man. Delaware to Burbank, yo.
That's what
302 for life.
302, bitch.
That's what they said on the streets in the early to mid 90s, which is probably around the time Stallone was sending his daughters to that high school in North Hollywood, Notre Dame High School in North Hollywood, which is where they went. Which, by the way, if you're watching this at home, very nice high school. My dad went on a scholarship. Anyway, then, by the way, they have an amazing baseball program. They turn out real major leaguers every year. So that's the last clip. And so basically, this movie kind of then ends. I think it feels anticlimactic by the time he actually gets to where Jenny's. Well, first of all, let's talk about how Jenny's takes out her tormentor, Eva. I think the woman's name is Eva.
I think that was important.
We've alluded to this.
I do believe that her uppance had come.
Mm-hmm.
What, do you have the clip?
No.
We just have our memories of her thighs. Yeah, so
they don't put that in the electronic press kits.
Maybe for the home video release they will, Liam.
The director's cut is that scene takes 75 minutes. It's really funny because I don't know if you guys caught this the first time we saw this movie amidst all of our laughter.
Oh, you mean the only time we'll ever see this movie? Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Eric. When that line about the grandpa taught me how to break fingers, I didn't remember that from the first watch. When I watched the clips, because Liam prepares us very well, I watched the clips you sent. That line about that, I was like, oh, I guess that's where she learned this. Because I was like, why didn't they just make her like a dancer or a ballerina? So then at least the strong thighs would have some kind of logic. But that moment it's also kind of like you were saying, scenes that don't need to be there. He's coming to rescue her anyway. And it's not like her breaking free helped really at all. She got recaptured multiple times. So it's not like it saved her. It didn't. It just enabled her to use her thighs.
When she says that, it felt to me like it was this movie's version of he was in the Amazon with my mother when she was researching spiders just before she died.
Right. Yeah, so basically, we're spoiling the movie, this part of the movie anyway, so I might as well just explain. She's being hung from the ceiling. First she was playing piano. That's how Jason Statham knows how to find her.
Yeah.
Is she's playing the piano and he hears it and he's like, oh, there's only one person stupid enough to play the piano when
only one woman can play the piano out here, and that's her.
I mean, how many people in that whorehouse / BDSM club / casino / ground round salad bar?
Right. By the way, how lucky for her that there was a piano in her room.
Yeah.
We all go to cheap whorehouses. Bawdy houses. We frequent women of the night.
Yeah, look, I'll tell you that the Bunny Ranch doesn't have a piano in anybody's room.
No, they do. They do have a thing where you go.
Yeah, well, let's just say you don't play it with your fingers.
But so anyway, so then the evil woman, because of course, in this kind of movie, women are only allowed to beat up women. Like it's just like a traditional macho. I think Jason Statham ends up punching this woman, but she hangs Jenny from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And so of course Jenny's like, ha ha, I'm a piano player and I'm an A+ student. What you didn't know is that also I can kill a man with my thighs.
Thunder thighs.
And she broke her neck.
Well, do you guys play piano? Because I know, like with piano, you use your feet. So I wasn't sure if that might be what strengthened her thighs.
Well, you don't sit on the bench; you squat over it, and that builds up a lot of gluten.
Like a catcher.
I'm more of a tambourine triangle guy. Basically, if Susan Day didn't play it on the Partridge Family, I don't know how to play it.
Susan Day,
including my heart.
So, gentlemen, any final thoughts before we wrap up the premiere edition of pop culture.
No, I just can't wait to figure out what the next movie is we're going to see, and I hope that guy sits in front of us again.
We only go to the AMC 8 inside the mall.
Yeah.
I know next week I'm trying to get a time with Husey to talk about another stakeout. So we've been talking about podcasting about it. So
another stakeout's been like your white whale. Like you've been going after another stakeout for
her name's Rosie O'Donnell. You don't have to.
Heyo. Unfortunately, Husey is allergic to replying all the emails, which makes it very difficult to.
Because I'll answer, and then I'll have to get a text from Liam about what Husey had said. But
right.
Yeah.
So, but we're going to figure that out. I'm hoping that that's next week's show, if we all have time to watch it. You're watching. You can stream now this movie on Amazon Prime or YouTube. And anywhere else you can rent or buy movies. You can rent it or buy it for $20. Because like Eric, you want to watch these scenes over and over again to mine all of the meaning out of them. And you're watching this show, by the way, on What Has Liam Done, which is one of my YouTube channels. And also you're watching at YouTube at Pop Culture Dumpster. And you're also watching on my Instagram, Radio Liam. If you're watching, thank you so much for sticking through this whole show. Gentlemen, what can we plug for you guys?
Oh my goodness. Well, I have so many things to promote. I can be found on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the Who Are These Podcasts YouTube channel for Who Are These Broadcasters with my buddy Eric Zane. That show also exists as an audio podcast. I do a show.
Wait, hold on one second. I know you're tired, but act like you want people to watch this show.
No, So I shouldn't have mentioned Eric Zane.
Oh, it's on the Who Are These Podcast Networks with Eric Zane. Come on, put some pep into it. Like give me a little Henry Hill, a little bit of 76 trombones.
Oh, I was thinking of a different Henry Hill. I was thinking of the one that used to call it the Stern Show.
Macchiato.
Ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to be a podcaster.
So I also have a show called The Blackcast. You've both been on that. And Eric and I regularly cover Marvel content on the Geekscape network. At some point, we'll be talking about Thunderbolts, but he's going to be in Atlanta. And I know better than to do any kind of live stream with Eric when he's in Atlanta.
Right.
A show that I co-created, pitched, and sold that I am the producer of is 100 Songs That Define Heavy Metal, hosted by Brian Slagle, the CEO of Metal Blade Records, who knows everybody in heavy metal. I've never had to book any guests because he has everyone in his phone. That's wherever podcasts are found. We were in Nashville at a podcast expo, the Rock and Pod Expo. It was all podcasts about rock and heavy metal, etc. And
must have been a lot of pale skin and very little deodorant use.
It just imagine an indoor flea market where everyone's got handheld microphones, and you'll see what it was. It was a wonderful time. Nashville's a great town, and I got to go to Waffle House. So win-win.
What about you, Eric Connor? I couldn't find anything to plug for you in the banner, but I did spell your name correctly.
You did, yeah. So it's Connor, and so you might not have recognized me. I actually even adorned a beanie in honor of Jason Statham. I'm not quite as bald as him yet, but I'll get there soon. Give me another.
I just thought it was another one of your people's holidays. I didn't realize that's why.
If you'd put on,
what would your grandpa say about that holiday, Christian?
If you put on sunglasses, I would have thought it was in honor of David Harbour.
Yeah. I was looking for my Daredevil sunglasses actually, and I could not find them, so I almost brought those out. But I fought around a bunch of places. If you are local in Burbank on Saturday at the Burbank Historical Society, yes, that is a real place. The kind of place Jason Statham would hang out, I'm sure, on his Saturdays. I'm interviewing a bunch of Burbank's most notable photographers as part of my work with the Cultural Arts Commission. You can find out about that over at Count Eric Connor on Insta. And I do a show on the Geekscape network called What Won This Week every Friday at 1:00. You can find that over on Geekscape. And I wherever Christian sort of takes me out of mothballs and puts me, I go. So the same with Same with you, Liam. Anytime you blow the dust off me, there I am. Like, as long as you get the dried cement off me, I'm ready to rock.
So this is like the first 15 minutes of Christine. This podcast my brother bought it back in 1957. Yes, John Carpenter's Christine. What a great. Of course, you can find me here. You can. This is youtube.com/@popculturedumpster. I realize that the Venmo and Patreon info has been scrolling the entire show, so no need to plug that if you've been watching it. But if you're watching this on a YouTube channel or on my Instagram, please hit like and subscribe. And if you're on Instagram, please hop over to one of my YouTube channels and hit like and subscribe. I'm very close to monetizing, and in order to monetize, I need 500 subscribers. I'm 100 subscribers away.
Is your Patreon really patreon.com/radio, or is it supposed to say Radio Liam there?
I was one of the first people to sign up for Patreon, and I'm not kidding. So
you got the word radio?
You have radio?
I got radio.
I thought it was going to be the Cuba Gooding movie.
I really. All right, man. I'm trying to get through this episode. No. I keep waiting for someone to try to buy it for me. I'm a very willing seller if the price is right. Because it is the best Patreon name, and I do very little with it until now. I also want to say this Saturday and most Saturdays I'm on Povo's Clown Town, which is a hangout show that has started to become popular in a section of podcasting called the Dabbleverse, especially as the rest of the Dabbleverse kind of implodes and falls apart around it. So that's Saturdays at 10 p.m. around the time the MLC podcast starts to fall apart. So come check me out there. And other than that, I got no live gigs coming up, but you can always check me out on Instagram if you're not watching it now, Instagram.com/Radio Liam. And you can connect with me on Twitter until I quit it at Hey It's Liam. And you can follow me on YouTube I've got one more plug. YouTube.com/@popculturedumpster. In 30 minutes, we're going to be premiering Major League 3 Back to the Minors. But also, I have another YouTube channel I alluded to before. It's at What Has Liam Done? And I'm going to be putting up a lot of work that I've done over the past course of my career. I'm putting up a benefit next Saturday on both channels that I did in 2009. I'll be airing the sets. So nobody's seen this since 2009. We'll be watching Jim Gaffigan. We'll be watching Kristen Schaal. We'll be watching Todd Barry together. And then the next weekend, I'll be putting up a full show where I recorded my second album. And then in the near future, I'm going to be putting up on at What Has Liam Done, the full Tell Your Friends concert film with Reggie Watts, Kurt Brownell, and Kristen Schaal, and so on, with interviews with Jim Gaffigan, Mark Maron, Kumail Nanjiani, and a bunch of other people I've known since before they were famous. So there'll be more information on that. But subscribe to both YouTube channels, because both YouTube channels will be premiering more stuff like this. And I want to thank you, gentlemen, again for coming out to the show. Thanks for enduring the bumpy first 5 minutes. I will be having a much shorter opening sequence as of next week.
Well, and you dead naming Eric and using his name misspelled. I
forgot he wasn't Irish.
I enjoy it until I started talking, and then it was very easy to remember I am not Irish.
Hey, Teddy has a question that I wonder about in the chat. Liam, you said you were recording a special beginning of 2025 or the end of 2024, but will that special be released soon? Eric and I attended the taping of that special, and I'd love to know when we might be able to see it.
Okay, well, first of all, I have to give the edit notes. And the problem is I recorded that at literally my peak fatness. So it's been very, very tough for me to watch more than 2 minutes of it at a time because my clothes didn't quite fit right. So I'm very, very fat in this special. I'm losing weight now. It was a good wake-up call, but you don't want your wake-up call to be your first 45-minute special. The other thing is that's something else we can talk about privately, but there's a lot going on with the production company too. And so we'll see. who knows? But yes, I will have that special will be coming out, and I don't know when or where, and that's all I can say about it. Except,
well, Liam, my recommend, if you remember, and this is of course showing my youth, Paula Abdul's videos. She used to do a filter to make her look incredibly thin and tall.
Yeah.
And I'm sure those are readily available on most platforms.
Specifically, Promise of a New Day.
New Day. Thank you.
Thank
you, Christian.
And Rush, which I believe had Keanu Reeves in it.
You mean like this, where all my wrinkles are mysteriously disappeared?
I hate doing shows at night because the way the light works in here, it looks like all my hair is gray instead of my very handsome salt and pepper that I tend to bring during daytime shows.
After 10 p.m., you're all salt.
Well, next week I'll be in my office. I'm doing a lot of reconfiguring my apartment right now, so I'm in my kitchen. But next week I'll be in my office. Hopefully we'll be watching that. If not, I would. Have you guys seen A Black Bag yet?
Mm-mm.
The Steven Soderbergh.
Yeah, I heard it's great.
film.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
I know what it is, but no, I haven't seen it yet. I might go and see Sinners this week. But
dude, maybe I'll go with you. Or because apparently you got to see it in 70 millimeter IMAX, or you don't see it at all. Is whatever.
Oh no, I'm gonna watch it on an Apple Watch from across the room. So
okay, so this has been Pop Culture Dumpster, episode 1. You guys stick around because I want to hear more about Christian's grandfather. But thanks to everybody. You know what? We had people watching. That was more than I honestly hoped for. So thank you guys for sticking around and watching. Next week, I'll monitor the comments a little bit more. And then at some point, I'll get a producer to do that for me, and so on and so forth. And then I'll be rich. Thank you all. Goodbye.
Good for you.